A few years ago, I worked at a retail store called TJ Maxx. Now, if you've ever worked in retail, you probably know that it's not always the most glamorous job. It's often fast-paced, chaotic, and unpredictable. You're never quite sure what the day will hold, whether it's a long line of customers, irate shoppers, or customers who actually want to chat and make your day a little brighter. At times, I wasn't thrilled about being there, but looking back, I realized I learned some of my most important lessons in life working there. It was like being in a human petri dish, a lab of leadership, followership, and everything in between. Every day was a different experiment. Would I get along with my coworkers today? Would I be able to handle the stress of an angry customer? Would I find a way to make someone's day a little better? Or would I just survive the shift? But one particular day stands out to me, one that taught me something I've carried with me ever since. It was a typical busy day at customer service, and the line was long, and we were understaffed. I jumped onto a register to help speed things up, trying to ease the crowd and get everyone taken care of. As I was ringing up a customer, someone I knew fairly well, we started chatting as we usually did. She asked me what I was doing outside of work, and I shared some personal things with her. How life hadn't turned out quite the way I had imagined. How I hadn't finished school the way I wanted to, and how I was doing things a little differently than I initially planned. When we were done with the transaction, she looked me in the eye and said something that has stuck with me ever since. She said, "Life isn't about how you carry out Plan A. It's about how you deal with Plan B through Z." At the time, I didn't fully appreciate the weight of her words, but as the years have gone by, that simple piece of advice has become one of my guiding principles, because life rarely goes according to Plan A. In fact, I'd argue that most of us rarely even ever get to see Plan A fully unfold. Before we've even taken our first step, there are curveballs and detours and unexpected turns. Sometimes Plan B is waiting before we even finish drawing up Plan A. And often, by the time we hit midway point, we find ourselves dealing with Plan C, D, or even Z, trying to figure out how to make things work when nothing has gone according to the original plan. Let me ask you this. How many of us started out with a clear vision of our lives, only to find that things don't always go the way we thought? Maybe you had a dream job in mind, but you ended up somewhere else. Or maybe you imagined yourself finishing school in 4 years, but life threw you a few obstacles. Maybe you had a family plan, a career path, or a dream that's taken longer to come to fruition than you ever expected. But here's the truth. How you handle Plan B, C, D, or Z is what will make the biggest difference in your life. It's not about sticking to your original plan at all costs. It's about adapting, resilience, and being flexible when things don't work out the way you wanted them to. This is where the real growth happens. This is where we learn who we really are and what we're truly capable of. When you're forced to shift gears, to adjust the course, and to make something out of nothing, that's when your true potential comes to light. Look at any successful person. Behind their success is almost always a story of how they navigated failure, setbacks, or a shift in direction. Think about entrepreneurs who had to pivot their entire business idea multiple times, athletes who didn't make it to the pros on their first try, or creative folks who got rejected over and over again before they finally got their big break. But the key wasn't in following their original plans flawlessly. It was in their ability to adapt, to keep going even when the path wasn't clear, to keep pushing forward despite the challenges. Now, I'm not saying we should throw away our dreams or abandon our goals at the first sign of trouble, but we do need to be prepared for the reality that life doesn't always unfold the way we plan. And it's in those moments that our ability to deal with Plan B through Z, the adjustments, the pivots, the resilience, is what separates those who succeed from those who give up. And this doesn't just apply to big life decisions. It applies to every day. Every time you face a challenge, every time things don't go your way, you will have a choice. Will you fight against change, or will you adjust your sails and find a new course? Will you let Plan A falling apart, knock you down, or will you rise to the challenge and make something great out of the unexpected? Here's what I've learned. It's not the setbacks that define us, but how we respond to them. Every time life hands you Plan B, C, or Z, you have an opportunity to rewrite your story, to become stronger, wiser, and more capable. So the next time things don't go according to plan A, and trust me, they often don't, ask yourself this: how can I deal with this? How can I adapt and still move forward? Because that's where the real growth happens. And remember what my TJ Maxx customer said to me all those years ago. Life is not about how you carry out plan A. It's about how you deal with plan B through Z. Embrace those moments, because in the end, they'll define the course of your life.